Uniting the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. If you don't do that, hang it up. It's over. It's not going to get better in America until men turn back to God, take control of their lives, and protect their wives and children spiritually and financially. Nothing else is going to work. I know people think something else will work, and let's pretend that all is well. That's not the case. You got to rebuild men. The power is in the man. And it doesn't mean I hate women, but the power is in the man. God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, women over children. It's just the way it is. Don't blame me. I didn't set it up that way. I love it that way because it works. It works, but I didn't create it. I didn't make it that way. So don't blame me. I didn't do it. I'm taking everybody calls at 888-775-3773, 888-77-JESSE, Jesse. No I in the Jesse. I have Rodney King with me in this segment. Rodney King is a man who's beaten by the LAPD police officers on March 3rd, 1991, sparked the LA riots. He is also the author of a brand new book, The Riot Within, My Journey from Rebellion to Redemption. And we wanted to talk to Rodney King about his book and other issues here. Rodney, good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you for being on, man. I appreciate it. A very interesting book. So we're going to try to really get to some of the issues that are in your book. How's the tour going right now?
It's going really great. You know, I'm getting a lot of support out there, and people from all, especially here in America, but people all over the world are giving me really good compliments and everything.
Are you becoming more comfortable with doing these tours?
Yeah.
Yeah? Good, man.
I waited two decades to get this book out. It wasn't easy.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
April of this year was the 20th anniversary of the LA riots, which caused about 54 deaths and $100 billion in property damage. And this riot broke out because a jury acquitted 4 police officers involved in the beating that you took. How do you feel about it 20 years later? How do you feel about the whole deal and what happened?
Well, I know I should have been drinking that night, and I do take responsibility for that part of it. But, I mean, the beating, the brutality that followed after it, it's been going on, for a long time in the police force. I mean, it started from slavery to the release of slavery, and then moving forward, we don't even take it in our minds that we're being brutal. We're brutalizing each other because of our past as humans on this earth worldwide. And, the stigma of brutality has gotten so custom in the police force, and it's not fair to the public, and so it has to be exposed for what it is. It was hard to beat that case with the camera, and here we are we were in the 1990s, and so I'm so glad that I was the one that it happened to, and it didn't happen to anyone else, because I know the pain that I felt that night, and one of the reasons why I wrote that book. I would have, no one else would survive that type of beating. These are modern days we're living in, and we need to take responsibility for our own action, especially when we are policing and protecting the public.
Yeah. Let me ask. I said $100 billion in damage, but it was $1 billion in property damage. That night. The night of the beating, you were driving down the road. You had been drinking. Had you done drugs that night as well?
I'm sorry. Had I done what?
Were you on drugs as well, or just?
No drugs were in my system. No drugs were found in my system. I hadn't taken any drugs or nothing. No kind of way. It was just a normal thing that they say that the person was on drugs and they were being non-responsive, and he were on PCP. But that's an old 1960, 1970 lie that they used, that the police used to kill, especially black males in this country, and have been doing it for a long time. So they just gotten accustomed to beating people up like that, and they know how to use what excuse.
So you have been drinking that night. When the police officers tried to stop you that night, why didn't you just stop and, pull to the side of the road and none of those things, the beating would not have happened? What made you not stop?
Yeah, I know it was a stupid judgment and mistake on my part because I had a new job. I was working at Dodger Stadium as an usher, and Dodger Stadium also remodeling some of the concession stands that they have today, turned them into different concession stands. And so my bridge job had called me back to go to work for construction, and it's paying twice as much. The only thing I could think of is if I can get away, I can be on that job Monday. They called me that Thursday and told me to be ready to go to work Monday. And so I just know that once I stopped that car, all the work that I had done up to that point was going to be over. It was all in vain. Me trying to get to that job on Monday, and I know it was bad mistake on my part, bad mistake of judgment.
So you were thinking, well, I'm going to run away from the cops. I'm not going to stop because if I do, I won't make it to work tomorrow, the next day.
Yeah, I knew I was already on parole, so I wasn't.
Oh, I see.
And I was drinking, and I know that once I stopped that car, I was going to go back to jail and do the remaining part of my time. And it was I wasn't going to be able to get to that job. That was all, and I needed that job for my family.
Oh, okay. So you were on parole, and you had been drinking, and you didn't want to go back to jail. So that was going on in your mind. The reason you didn't stop. I see. So how have I read that as a result of what happened, you received $3.8 million settlement, and now all that money is completely gone. And this was back in 1991. What happened to the money?
Well, I did some really good investments. I bought a house for myself, bought a house for my mom, and I needed to buy that house for my mom. It made me feel good. And I had a lot of legal bills, huge legal bills, and doctor bills. I still have medical bills to this day. And, I had a plate put in my face. I had a plate put in my eye socket. And, I still suffer from headaches from that beating to this day. I also took some of that money and repaired some of the concrete work around Southern and Northern California. We put in wheelchair ramps all up down to 210. We also put some ramps in for the Colton Police Department with some of that money. We also put in some wheelchair ramps, did a little concrete work for the Colton Police Department. But the economy switched up and it had a different turn. But I can ride through the city and see a lot of my work that I'm very proud of.
Why did you take your money and do that when our tax dollars are going toward those things? Why would you spend your money on that?
Well, my brother, we went back to get his construction contractor's license, and so we had got into the construction business and had a really good 10-year run. And, and so after that, the economy got pretty bad, so it took a turn for its own.
Your book is Riot Within, My Journey from Rebellion to Redemption. What is the riot within? What do you mean by that?
My thing was having to, at the time when I had to stay home and I didn't get a chance to testify at the Deep Valley trial. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book also, because it's like my testimony.
Hold that thought for me, Rodney. Let me take a quick break here. Rodney King is with me. 888-7753-773. Back in a moment. Rodney King is with me. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. He is on a book tour right now, so we're talking to him, Rodney, from, I believe, San Francisco area there, and he's on his cell phone. It's not coming across very clear, so we may have to cut it short, and then once Rodney is back in L.A., he can come into the studio. Let's see here. Rodney, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a little better. You live in L.A., right?
Right. I stay in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Well, next time you're back in L.A., we may bring you into the studio because we're right here at La Cienega and Pico.
Oh, okay.
So because your cell phone is not really clear. You were telling me about your book is The Riot Within, My Journey from Rebellion to Redemption. You were explaining what you mean by the riot within.
Yeah, it was just so many different emotions and thoughts going back in my mind during the riots and during the trial, the testimony, and everything. And it was just like a riot within me. Not being able to get down to the courthouse. I mean, and then the anxiety, that it took its toll on me, and the killings and the fires, and it just was like eating me up. It was like it was like a really bad year for me. Not being able to do anything. And so it was and watching the people get killed and stuff like that during the riots. It was just a riot within me.
Did you take the blame for the riot?
I know that people have been treating people bad all the way up to that point, and they still do today. And so it's a lot. We came a long way, but we have so much more change to do, as people on this earth, and be more responsible for our actions and take pride in the jobs that we have. And one of the police jobs is one of the oldest, but one of the best jobs you can get, protecting the public and serving your country. So I don't feel that my responsibility whatsoever. My heart goes out, and I feel so bad for people who got hurt and killed in the riots. But I don't take the blame for it because of the way the cops have been treating people and still treating people. Things have changed, but they were treating people pretty bad. Brutality's been around for a long time in the world, and it's no room for it now in the modern day world. It really isn't. It really isn't. No one's going to survive those type of beatings.
I've noticed, and when I read your bio, it seemed that you had and have a lot of anger as well. But Black Americans, especially in the urban areas, have a lot of anger. And in their anger, they're acting out. They're committing crimes. They don't respect authority. Do you think if Black Americans would overcome their anger, not all, of course, are angry, but become law-abiding citizens, would the police department or police officers have to deal with them in the manner that they're dealing with them?
Well, I think that I just think that over the years, like I said before, it hasn't been a good track record between the American Negro. Now I'm saying this because it's been rough since the releasing of slavery, and the mentality has been towards the black man. His life means nothing, and that's one of the reasons why I'm glad to see that there is a black president, and that people really do want peace and trying to no man can bring peace to the earth, but we can sure make it a lot better and treat each other with respect and dignity until this earth, Jehovah God does what he got to do. We can make it a lot easier on each and every one of us. So I mean, we and including myself, I have to take responsibility for my anger. And then as far as anger, I have to be able to let it go, because I've had so many instances where people have given me a second chance in this country. And I know everybody isn't bad, and everybody is. A lot of people are really trying to be, responsible and respectful people these days. And so I have to let the anger go so I can grow myself.
You had this. First, let's do this because we're running out of time. Tell folks how to get your book.
Yes, my book is in. I'm through HarperCollins. I'm with HarperCollins, and my book is in most bookstores today. And has been.
Hold on for me, Rodney. Let me take another quick break here. 888-775-3773. 888-77. Jesse, back in a moment. Okay, welcome back. In the second hour, we're going to be reading your emails and Facebook comments today and taking your phone calls. I am Jesse Lee Peterson, the Bible Go-To Guy is here in the third hour today. We're going to take a few calls for Rodney King right now and then move on. We'll have to have him in studio when he's back in L.A. That way, because the cell phone interview is not coming across really clear as I would like for it. But we'll have him back in studio. Rodney, and the book is Riot Within, My Journey from Rebellion to Redemption. And folks, you can get the book in any major bookstores around the country. You can also go to Amazon.com and get the book. Rodney, we'll squeeze in a few calls here. Let's go down to Georgia, Carterville, Georgia, and talk to David. David, welcome to the show, sir. You're on with Rodney King.
Hey, Hey, how you doing, Jed?
All is well, David. Thanks for calling, buddy.
Good. Yeah, I just had a couple of quick questions. I was just kind of curious, going back to the root of the matter, which was the high-speed chase. And I would like to remind everybody that this was not a routine chase. This was a high-speed chase. Your guest endangered innumerable lives with, I believe, best of my memory, you can correct me, I believe he was clocked over 100 miles an hour at some point during the chase.
Right.
I was just curious. You know, he spoke earlier about being concerned about his job. Well, couldn't he have chosen not to drink and drive if he was concerned about his job? I drive for a living. My commercial license, hinges on my ability to stay out of trouble. And I would never choose to drink and drive.
That's a good point. Rodney, why didn't you, David, let you know, why did you were concerned about your job, you were concerned about going back to jail because you were on parole at the time. Why did you drink and drive? You didn't have to drink and drive.
Yeah, I don't have an excuse for that. And it was a bad judgment on my part, being a young adult. I was 24 years old and not looking at life as serious as I should have. And that was a bad mistake on my part. I made sure that, I stopped at the stop signs, didn't run any lights, and then I finally pulled over where it was safe. And, I'm not proud of the thing that happened, and all, but I am very proud that the police was exposed for the brutality so that other people won't keep having to get killed and beaten by the police like that. So I feel like, God stepped in and exposed it for what it was, and I'm very appreciative to him for that.
David?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear what he said?
Yes, I did. But I was just, I always like to try to simplify things in my own mind and go back to the root.
Yeah.
And it just seems to me that, and I'm basing this on the way I look at things, and I support 3 kids and a wife, and every decision I make is based on what's best for them. And, I've lived my whole life playing by the rules. If I'm blue lighted, I pull over. And it just seems like, I think there's another example here to be had. And it's also, this could be used as an example to other young males of all races. And since Rodney King is black, it's a better example to young black males that, you're better off playing by the rules. And, sometimes you can avert these kind of things if you just, do what most other people do. And I think if you get back to the root, if this simple pattern had been followed, none of this would have happened. Now, of course, I know that it was still no excuse for the brutality of the police. I mean, everybody agrees on that. But listening to examples like this, it kind of upsets me because I've gone out of my way to play by the rules all these years and try to stay out of trouble. And when I hear about people who don't, and then when bad things happen, they don't want to talk about the role they had in it. And
that's the point I was trying to make earlier with Rodney is that if black Americans were start following the rules and obeying the laws, then the police officer wouldn't have to do what they have to do to protect the community. And so we're trying to, hopefully trying to get black folks to understand they got to respect authority. They got to overcome their anger. They take control of their lives and follow the rules. These things would not happen for the most part.
Yeah, I agree with it, and I do agree with you on that. And that's one of the reasons. But the history of police brutality has been around for a long time. So, and I have been trying to be a good citizen, and it's not hard. It's not hard to do. But the history of police and the brutality has been going on so long. Who trusts them? I was born in 1965. I was able to see almost 2 worlds coming and going. So,
but Thank you, David. I appreciate your call, buddy. I trust the police department. I mean, officers. I've not been in trouble with them. I've never gone to jail. And I was born on a plantation in Alabama. And, you know, I respect authority. When they stop me, I stop. I follow their instructions. I have not had any problems.
That's the way I was raised, too. You respect law enforcement and authority, period.
Yeah. Let's go down to Virginia and talk to Curtis. Curtis, welcome to the show, sir. You're on with Rodney King.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate you writing the book, and some of the comments you made I agree with, and some I do not. One of the things I have a problem with is the news media played your beating over and over again, but nothing was said about the root cause, the beginning of the situation, and the end of the situation. Now, the rioting, that is another responsibility. If the citizens of L.A. had issues with the verdict, there are ways you can to address the issue through lawful means instead of burning down your own neighborhood. That is all I got to say. Thank you for taking my call.
All right. Thank you, Curtis. I appreciate that. Rodney, we have a minute left here. What do you say about that? The people burned down L.A. and they destroyed other people's property. They didn't even own anything, so they were not hurt by it. How do you respond to that?
Well, my heart goes out to the ones who lost their businesses and went through it all. And there was so many mixed emotions in my mind, and what I was going through, I really, it was just a bad time, a bad time for people to make judgment, and, I hope that it never happens again, I really do. But there was some people, there was nothing else to do. There was all the spirits had been broken over, and they looked back at the past and the history of brutality. I
know, but their spirit was broken because they come from single parents' home. They don't have, the fathers and mothers guiding them in the right way. Their spirits were not broken because of the police officers.
Well, I think it's a whole bunch of buildup of a whole lot of things. I don't think just single parent.
Rodney, thank you so much, man. When you're back in L.A., we'll have you in studio.
Sure.
All right. All right, buddy. 888-775-3773. 888-77-JESSE. Back in a moment. Rodney King sounds as though he's been given words to say. Always focus on police brutality. I noticed that he kept going back to that. He was like, agree, but then he go back to police brutality. I'm so sorry that black Americans, not all, but most, especially young black folks, have been so lied to about the policemen across the country. And what they do now is blame it on the cop. And I thought my callers tried to make a really good point. It's about you, Rodney. It's not about the policemen. They're just doing their job. If you are worried or concerned about losing your job, you don't get drunk and drive. And then you don't run from the cops after you've gotten drunk and gotten in a car and driving down the road. You stop. That's taking responsibility. And these people are pushing police brutality like we were living back in the 1920s or something. That's not reality. The problem is, black folks, you have problems. You don't have your fathers in the homes. Your mothers have destroyed you. This is for the boys and the girls. You're angry because your anger starts with that. It comes from the mother, and because kids don't respect mothers after a while. And not all mothers, not all. I better say that before they have me back up on The View. Did you see The View yesterday? I was on The View. They had sound bites from my sermon where we were talking about what liberal women have done to create a shameless society. And so they showed that on the show. It was a video of my sermon. You're right about that. Not just a soundbite. And then they went to town after the video was done. And we'll try to get on there now so that I can defend myself. But at some point, black Americans got to take responsibility. It's not about police brutality. That's a lie. If you're not going to listen to the cops, if you're going to give attitude, if you're going to yell and call them a racist, if you're going to attack cops, you're going to get what Rodney King got. It's just the way it is. We pay the police officers to protect us. They are getting up and going out into some of the most dangerous streets and communities, putting their lives on the line, leaving their families behind. You know, they could be doing something else. And unless we tell the truth, folks, America is only going to get worse instead of getting better. It just is. In my own personal life, for an example, the only reason that my life is getting better and has gotten better over the last 24 years is because I had to be honest about myself. And the truth was that I was a sinner. I was angry. I had, I did not have control of my own life. It was out of control. And for a while there, I was blaming other people for it instead of taking the blame for my own action and my own problems. And until I was able to do that, things were bad for me. And once I did that, then God made me free, gave me perfect peace. And now my life is each moment becoming better and better and better. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.